What's up, everybody? This is the world premiere, and this segment is going to be a talk back. And I wanted to sit back and talk about kind of like personal experiences and also what drives how taking personal experiences and incorporating them into Lost Dogs Chase Tales, into the Play series. So the series is Lost Dogs Chase Tales, and this is a series of about 16 narratives, and they kind of play as myths. They kind of play as these epics with virtues and principles that are extremely relatable. And by that, I mean just something that can be translated across all mediums. They involve the self with the interaction of what everyone likes to call the Matrix, or this system that we're all in. Like it, love it, or hate it, we're within a system. We're within a being. We're within something that has a specific order to it. Right now, we're in the kind of like fucking, transfiguration of that shit. But, we'll talk about that later. So, Lost Dogs Chase Tales is about 16 stories, 16 different morals and principles and virtues. And this specific story is Jay's Purple Taxi. Now, Jay's Purple Taxi is about Jay, who is he's a delivery service person, and he's kind of in this realm of leveling up, bossing up. He's taken out his woman, who plays the archetype of this social media socialite, entrepreneur, got the detox teas, the waist trainers, and all of that. She bad, you know what I'm saying? And then he's on the other end, figuring out his life. And within this story, within these 13 chapters, he, starts to realize, I gotta show out. It's about time for me to show out. Everyone's getting their own business, we know that time. Everyone getting their own business, everyone leveling up. And so this is Jay, the protagonist, going through this sort of transit of, picking himself up, bossing up internally, and then how it's externalized through his actions, how he's picking up his cross and going and practicing his rituals and getting shit done. It's lighthearted, it's fun, has a lot to do with the community, and essentially he creates his own fucking mixture of like Uber Eats meets Instagram meets Amazon Flex, all these independent contracting jobs that just boomed, with the advent of just fucking everything being tech driven nowadays, And so specifically for, Lost Dogs Chase Tales is all about this, trying to trace a trine, that 120 degree angle, and, kind of using astrology and using the planets as this kind of what we're underneath, the influence, honoring that influence, remixing it to an extent, and kind of bringing out the individual underneath this influence. So it's very, hidden star, northern pillory. It's very, the hero, the kind of writing your story into the stars as well. And all of these stories they do, by using this trine. So with Jay's Purple Taxi, this is the fire trine. This is Aries, Leo, Sag, Mars, the Sun, Jupiter. And so all the chapters then run its course in that way too. I'm looking at the timer. I'm like, all right, look, I'm giving myself 10 minutes. 10 minutes, just chop it up, because I haven't even gotten to my fucking personal experience, And yeah, it is a personal experience. Shout out to Amazon. Shout out to Amazon. I wouldn't even be sitting back and thinking about kind of anthropomorphizing what this tale would even be like without that personal experience. But then you're going to kind of add in these universal elements as well. So it won't necessarily be cathartic for cathartic's sake, but it's also like, there's something there. There's something that I'm kind of getting from that, from this experience. And so there's a scene. There's scenes and chapters because we got the manuscript version and we also have the script version for the play for the movie, but then we also have the book version, right? So there's a scene where I believe it's chapter 4. Chapter 4 thoughts, chapter 3 like environment. It might be chapter 3, but long story short, after Jay kind of, confronts his boss, his manager at the delivery service spot, he's like, you know what? F this. I'm about to go and do my own thing. I heard that, so we're gonna have our own little version of whatever, Uber is in this universe. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna go be a little independent contractor. I'm gonna go get it how I live. Boom, he gets into a car accident. Now look, we all know, well, maybe not everybody, but fucking dealing with insurance. Like, all right, so this is where the personal experience comes in, right? It's like dealing with insurance in this day and age. You know what I'm saying? Like where everything is fucking electronic right now. Everything, to an extent where I'm gonna just say me now, I'm feeling like left in the dark about a lot of shit. The waiting game. Okay, you get into an accident, bada bada bada. You trying to follow the protocol. You know what I'm saying? You shook up, but then you kind of have to like wait in line. And so in this universe, in Jay's Purple Taxi, we're gonna have the actual like waiting in line. Okay, here's your insurance claim. Because nowadays, it ain't like that. It ain't like that. You gotta wait. You have to create a digital waiting room in the confines of your mind. You have to imagine yourself waiting, and you're just on the phone. You never get to even see the other person. This shit is wild, and this shit is crazy. I'm not even gonna say like it's not normal. Fuck all that. But it's like you really have to imagine and just remind yourself that this is happening outside of you. But we're for the sake of the story and the play and the movie and the book, we're gonna make sure that it's all in person because nothing beats that in person interaction. And plus, like, I feel like there could be a lot of funny moments with like an insurance claim representative kind of giving like fucking Mike Wazowski. All right, Jay, you filed your claim on July the 3rd. Now you're gonna have to wait 7 days in order for like that funny shit. And like Jay's just sitting there like drooling out the side of his mouth. Like it's just so fucking boring. But kind of that feeling of just being left in the dark. How you kind of work for this entity, and by working for it, you're an insurance company, right? You're giving your money, and you're like, okay, y'all gonna protect me on the road. Y'all gonna keep up y'all end of the bargain. All right, look, life is a fucking highway. So eventually I'ma hit something. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be different every single time, but eventually I'ma hit something. But the kind of contracts, the terms and conditions that we both agreed upon was that you're going to cover me. Why is it that it's taking a week and a half to get shit done? Now what I said earlier, now I'm starting to realize that, it's because of the fucking electronicity of just society and kind of blending in that cyborgy, everything over the phone type of shit. Fuck being in person anymore. Like, no, we're just going to handle it all like that. This whole idea of sitting back waiting, just being frustrated. And in chapter 3, like, I'm imagining Jay just exploding, but rightfully so. Like exploding out, and he's not just thinking about his situation. So, Jay is a very community driven type of individual, and, he knows he needs to get his shit together. However, he has these big old dreams to service his community. He's very much that dude that, helps the old lady across the street. Oh, thank you, young man. You're handsome, young man. I bet you can't keep the ladies off of you. Type shit. And he's just smiling and blushing and shit. He's very much that person. So when he's exploding, say like, he gets into an accident and he's driving, I believe I called it fleet vehicles. So like fleet vehicles is kind of, the middle person. And then they got fleet insurance, and then they got fleet everything, and it's just a conglomerate of just fucking fleet shit. Like they run their whole, and it's like a satire on just how every corporation is really the same thing behind closed doors. So it's a play on that. So, he's exploding in front of this insurance claim manager who's like saying, oh, because he got into an accident and he works out in his car. It's like, it's going to take a week, 2 weeks. Like, I can't work for another 2 weeks. And like, I'm so sorry, Jay. Like, there's nothing that we can do. And he's like, there is something that we can do. And then he kind of has this fucking soapbox moment. And he has this kind of like, this pastoral like sermon. And this ain't right. And, he's kind of riling up, but it's not intentional. He just naturally has this gift to rile up a community, especially because it's already innate in him to speak for others. You know what I'm saying? Not like speak on top of others, but kind of like, when someone says something that you've always been thinking and you're like, I always thought of that. Why I never think to fucking, and it's that Tron moment that it goes back to. I believe it starts, let me look. Let me check my sources, y'all. Let me check my sources. I believe it goes back to, let me see. It starts Aries, Leo, Sag. So from Mars, I think this is 3 to 4. So from Mars to the sun. So this is still that idea of like very fucking like passionate intentions, motivations, desires, but then a spotlight on that. So now I'm looking back. I honestly don't have the reference sheet in front of me just as far as how chapters goes and then fucking numerology. But it's like 4, you're going to have these kind of innate thoughts, but it's still on that cusp of going from Aries to Leo, from warlike to exalting the sun to where the sun at home, going to war. That whole idea, like you're going to war with these corporations and then the sun coming home into the 5th house, into chapter 5 is that whole idea of like, boom. After he exploded, after he riled everyone up, he's like, you know what? And I'm going to start my own business. And they're like, yeah. You got the crowd of people who's in the office, in the waiting room and shit. They're like, yeah. It's like, I'm going to start my own business. Yeah. And I'm hiring everybody. They're like, yeah. And they all just run out. And then he has this moment of like, wait, what the fuck did I just? He's like, oh, shit. Like, all right, y'all, follow me on Instagram and we're going to get all this thing popping. But, it's kind of like... he's having this moment of just like super, super, super riled up. And he's like kind of just like preaching, how he envisions what he envisions. And that's starting his own business, not knowing that he's going to be going up against, fleet vehicles. And we'll get into, later chapters of that. But just, this moment of fucking, like waiting around for fucking, insurance, to the protocol and shit, really just trying to be your best to just get in where you fit in with this system and just, being your best little self, not even little, but, you kind of got to like put yourself into this box, doing your best to just keep your fucking cool and to just say, you know what, everything happened for a reason. I'm gonna just keep it at that. I don't give a fuck about this shit. Fuck it all. But at the same time, having this outlet, to really like keep it real and what you really want to say. And then this being the drive for you to start something new. You know what I'm saying? Like put in a lot of energy into writing this right now with the transits going on, new moon Cancer, sun in Cancer, this renewal, this kind of like care home renewal and how you're treating yourself at home, that kind of internal, and then walking outside and letting it show, letting it be known. It's very much that like, oh, what you do during quarantine, that type of, like it shows on people, how they've been spending their quarantine and shit, like it shows. And it's given a lot of that energy too, at the same time of walking out, knowing that this is something that you've always wanted to do. You have the opportunity to do it now. All right, now step into it. So this is chapter 4. Yeah, this would be chapter 4 of Jay's Purple Taxi. And it's really starting to come together as far as just wrapping up these experiences that I personally had. And then, just making them make sense in terms of universal themes and topics, keeping astrology and energy transits as that universal language and kind of working within that order to tell the story. And it's going to be really fucking fun. I'm looking forward to, I actually have characters or actors already set up to participate. So I'm excited to just hear what the chemistry is going to be like between Jay and Peaches, the kind of the couple, you know what I'm saying? And then how Jay eventually evolves, coming from, oh, I always wanted to do this to finally doing it. You know what I'm saying? And that's just some shit that everyone can fucking relate to. When you just dream and you internalize and you daydream and you're stepping into it. It's very much, baby's first steps. And you might fall. Everyone around you might be like, oh, but you're like, I got this. Your little toddler self, you're like, I got this. I got this. Even when you fall. It's like, I think I saw this video of like this baby like fell off the bed. And like the parent or whoever's recording is like, oh my God. And the baby's just like looking up like, and then walking away like, I'm good. This is what I wanted. That type of thing. Like cats always land on their feet type of thing where it's like, yeah, it's going to look a little wobbly, a little rocky, a little, I'm going up against, a system that already exists as far as like the fleet vehicles, but I'm good, y'all. Like my intentions are in the right place. And that's going to be eventually what's revealed throughout. And that's going to be eventually kind of like, because obviously there has to be a climax. There kind of has to be a war. There kind of has to be that, it's a fucking story. So there's going to just be that moment of like, okay, where are people's intentions? And we all know. We all know where the intentions are. People just trying to fuck it. You know what I'm saying? But nowadays where it's popular to make a business and it's really getting back into what your personal moral system is versus what you don't want it to be. And that's Jay. That's essentially Jay. So this has been a talk back for Lost Dogs Chase Tales. Jay's Purple Taxi coming soon, y'all. Coming real soon. Y'all take care. The world premiere. I want to end it right at 500 seconds. And